Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, had a huge rain here just now. Just massive rain. Just came down. Hours and hours it rained, and so I'm sitting here kind of in the damp and the cold outside in the aftermath. So if it opens up and I gotta run, sorry. Um, I want to talk about Canadian media and how terrible Canadian media is. Boy, is it ever terrible. Like, right now we're going through something that's called, and this is like national news, major headlines, and I called it right when it started. I was just like, this is just a way for the corporate media to stop talking about anything else, to stop talking about like climate change, the crazy behemoth that is, to stop talking about COVID-19, to stop talking about any other major issue. Black Lives Matters, the protests, the blockades that have been happening, right? Like, the media is trying to do everything it can to grab hold of the narrative of the society and just ignore all of these big problems and just ignore all of these major things that are happening in favor of a minor political scandal. Like, this is a minor political scandal. Like, the idea that Justin Trudeau got into bed with Mita Wee, and there's this exchange, like, oh, they may have paid for the lunches. How much money did they spend on the Mita Wee lunches? Who cares? Like, it couldn't be more irrelevant. Like, I actually think if you pause and think about how irrelevant the Mita Wee scandal is, it'll stagger you. Let's say it's the worst possible case scenario. Let's say that Justin Trudeau is using the Mita Wee Foundation exclusively as a way to launder all his money and keep it hidden in places and to elicit bribes through this charity that does that work for him. They're like his secret espionage squad of control money bribers, right? Let's just say that's like the absolute worst case scenario. It's still completely fucking irrelevant. Like, it still is so low on the list. It's a way for, like, I think boomers to feel as though they have an idea of, I don't care for that Justin Trudeau because of the Mita Wee. What does that say about a man? Right? That kind of nonsense. When, like, I feel like the millennials and below are just like, yeah, he's a pretty boy. Right? He's a pretty boy who has been rich his whole life. And he has methods to remain rich and to be rich and to spread his influence. Yeah, we know. We don't really like Justin Trudeau, and that's one of the reasons. But when we talk about it, we tend to care more about, like, hey, why are the Liberals still selling guns to Saudi Arabia? That's something weird, isn't it? Don't you feel that selling guns to Saudi Arabia sends the wrong message on the world stage? Don't you feel that selling guns to Saudi Arabia really just says that we're the arms dealers for the American empire? Why aren't we talking about the American empire more in our media? Like, that's crazy to think about, man. Like, we've got this monster on our doorstep. We've got this behemoth giant that is just stomping around to the south of us. Like, Donald Trump is saying things like we should delay the election. Like, fascism is go in the United States, and our media is literally like, how did they buy breakfasts for the Mita Wee Foundation? Like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Like, we need to be restructuring our economy to a war economy. Like, we need to be restructuring our economy to the war economy. And our media should be screaming about that. We should be restructuring our economy into a war economy. We should have done it forever ago. And we know that we can do it. We know that we can muster the forces. We got a little taste of what a war economy would look like with this COVID-19. And it is just a little taster. I think major things need to change. And specifically, like, our understanding of what the government is, how it acts in the society, right? That's another thing. It's to the interests of the business class to treat government as a business, but government is not a business, right? It isn't a business. It's the government. And the government can do lots of things that businesses cannot do. And the government acts in the society in a different way that businesses do. And the way that I have had government communicated to me through my media convinces me that either the media here in Canada does not understand what the government does or how it functions, and aren't interested in finding out, or they're sort of paid not to know, or paid to give an incorrect image of what the government is and how it operates and what it does. And that makes total sense, because as long as we keep thinking about government as a business, then business owners can seize power, cripple government programs, and then claim them for themselves, which is what privatization is. They can cripple something and then remove it from the public sector, and then they become the primary beneficiaries under the guise that they'll run it more efficiently or better. And then when they get it, they immediately jack prices, or service becomes higher. And that's just so obvious. They need to raise those rates because now they need to justify their existence, because they didn't exist before in the system, right? You have to tack, like, let's say they take $100,000 salary, right? They're not doing $100,000 worth of work, right? They're just the owners. Owners don't do anything. They don't accomplish anything. The owners of a place just take the money, right? They really do. They really just take the money. And so you need to justify that expense, and so the only way you can justify that expense is by raising rates. That's how privatization works. And if you were to nationalize something, the cost of it would immediately go down, because you don't need to pay for these people who aren't contributing to the workforce, who aren't actually doing anything. They're at best, they're upper managed, administrators, like on a kind of a high macro level, but they don't need to take home the vast majority of the profits. Like, in a government system, that money would just go back into the government. Like, it just wouldn't, which then could be used for other services. And everybody's just receiving excellent pay. You could have a union. You could reduce the work hours. I think reducing the work hours, like, even that should be talked about higher than this me-to-we bullshit. Reducing workday hours, letting people work less. Yeah, yes please. Yes, please. We need to slow this society down. You know? Like, here are ideas for ways to slow the society down. We need to be open less. So, most services should be closed on a day. That's how we should begin this process. Historically, that day has been Sunday. I don't really care which day it is. If you wanted to make sure that people could have maximum access to retail outlets, you could shut the retail outlets down on Tuesday if you like. But we just need to slow down. Things need to move not so fast. We need to stop eating so much and burning so much and throwing so much out and producing garbage that nobody needs, really. We just need to do less of it. And the way to do that is to start picking days. Like, pick a day. I don't care, Monday, Wednesday, I don't care. Pick a day. And that's the day where the whole place is closed. And we're going to have to start making those decisions. I did see that the Liberals finally got their act together in regards to single-use plastics. Like, one thing I hope that this COVID-19 crisis has really shown everybody, that we are extremely adaptable. We can move around, we can do stuff. Like, when the masks came in here in Canada and here in Toronto, it became mandatory to wear masks indoors, and everyone was just agreed and moved forward. No complaint. I mean, a few minor moments of frustration, I would say, but nothing so extravagant, nothing ridiculous. No real fights, from my perspective. And if we can do that for this, then we can do that for other things like plastic bags, plastic bottles. We can just agree, yeah, plastic bags, plastic bottles, those can just go. We don't need them. People will go into retail establishments and they'll realize, oh dang, I didn't bring my reusable bags. Retail establishments will sell reusable bags. Like, they will. Like, they'll have cloth bags there for sure. And honestly, at my job, even if that cloth bag was $5, sometimes people would just go for it. They would just get it. So I think there's a business opportunity there. Like, getting rid of single-use plastic bags, getting rid of single-use cutlery, single-use, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff that just goes into landfills and is just trash. I'm glad to see that the Liberals are moving forward on it, starting to normalize that on the world stage. And it's yet another thing. Like, to me, that's more important. That piece of news right there is way more important than this Meet a Wee scandal. Like, honestly, who gives a crap about this Meet a Wee scandal? And watching the Conservatives, like, try to make hay of this Meet a Wee scandal is, like, embarrassing. It's embarrassing because everyone knows that it's nothing. Everyone intrinsically understands, like, this Meet a Wee scandal is not going to change your mind on the Liberals. You know, it's not going to suddenly make your camp choose one way or the other. It's not politically important. And ultimately, it's not really much of a story. Like, we've got bigger fish to fry. But I just feel like, as I'm talking about it, I'm really thinking, like, I do think there's this thing, there's a concern of burnout. You don't want to burn your population out. And it's a nice summer, you know, beautiful, beautiful summer. Why not, and it's been a hell of a year. You guys notice? It's been a hell of a year. I've noticed it. Oh. And maybe they're just trying to, like, hey, let's give it a break. Let's give it a break. Let's pump the brakes on feeling bad about ourselves. Hoy vey. It has been a year, eh? What a year. What a year. And it just doesn't seem... And it just is that I know the hits keep coming. The hits keep coming. Right? The hits keep coming. And they're not gonna roll over. Like, we're gonna have to keep dealing with pretty major issues over and over and over again. And our media kind of relies on shock value and blindsiding you with information, like, and just overwhelming the senses so that no other piece of news can get in. They just blare it across. It's just this big giant whirr. And it's stupid and it's exhausting to ignore these pretty major issues. Like, people are going to be getting evicted soon. People are going to be defaulting on the debts that they've accrued. Things like the CERB helped, but that's temporary, so that's going away. The society was better with the CERB, by the way. Without a doubt. The society was better with the CERB. There's an article that I'd love to read. I'd love to see that headline. The society was better with the CERB. Like, people felt more stable. I felt better about people's lives, knowing that like they had a security, that they were stable and safe. You know, it's tough when you're working with somebody and you know the position they're in and you know that they're just kind of scraping by. Like, you know that. But there's nothing you can do about it but be supportive. Hope that they're happy. We just got to sit through this me to we bullshit until the next really crazy thing that they can't ignore blindsides us, and something absurd again takes over. I feel like, given the way 2020 is, wouldn't it be wild if Trump just won this whole thing again? Another win by the Trumpster. Given the dumpster fire that the Biden campaign is, it's anything's possible. Anything's possible. I hope you guys are all doing well out there. Life is weird, and we're having a weird time going through it. And I just wish that our media was more on board with actually talking about how weird our society has gotten and how strange everything is and how difficult it is to just kind of exist and be normal in the world. Our society is not normal. Like, what we're doing is not normal. This feels very strange. And the more I think about it, the more I really am just like, why are we doing it this way? What do we think we're accomplishing? Seeing the cars whiz by is starting to get to be a bit like, why are you here? What will you accomplish today? But we've lost our imagination. We've lost our imagination. And so all we can believe is what's in front of us. And we can't really think about the possibilities of something new or something different or something odd or strange. What a time to be alive. I hope you guys are having fun out there. Good luck.